two cops watched as a group of thugs surrounded a woman, their intentions clear. One of the men suggested calling for backup, but he figured they would let her go after they had their fun. The other stated that it wasn't the first time they had seen this kind of thing. But suddenly someone stepped up, telling the thugs to let her go. A guy stood his ground, his presence a stark contrast to the scene unfolding before him. He demanded that they release the woman immediately. I said, let her go. The thug seemed taken aback by his sudden intervention. Huh! The man in the red shirt stepped forward, a defiant sneer on his face. He challenged the officer, asking what he would do if he didn't want to release the woman. Our protagonist didn't hesitate, delivering a swift and powerful punch. The thug's face contorted in pain as he clutched his nose. The cigarette he'd been smoking lay forgotten on the ground. Cop calmly informed him that if he didn't want to cooperate, he would need to give him a good beating. The thug, now on the ground and bleeding, could only sputter out a single word. The downed thug cursed him, calling him a fucking copper as Kim Kyung-soo stood his ground, unfazed by the others closing in. Kim Kyung-soo delivered a powerful punch, sending the thug flying. His expression was unreadable. Two other police officers arrived on the scene, looking stunned by the brutality. He stood over the thugs, who were now heavily injured. He was breathing heavily. One of the downed thugs cursed him. The thug, battered and enraged, spat out a threat, promising to kill him. He stared him down. He questioned if the thug had ever killed someone. The thug screamed that he had. The cop dismissed his claim, stating that he didn't have any battle marks on his hands. He added that the look in his eyes told him everything. The battered thug challenged Kim Kyung-soo, goading him to try and kill him. He dared him to stab him right there. He stared intently at the man, who continued to taunt him. He warned that if he couldn't kill him, he would. The thug, shocked, dropped the knife. The thug, heavily injured, looked up at the police officer standing over him, demanding to know who he was. The thug's vision blurred as he wondered who he was dealing with. Guy said that he was the person responsible for throwing their asses in jail. A sinister grin spread across his face. The scene shifted to Incheon Port, 1 week prior. Back in Incheon Port, inside a shipping container, a man gripped the metal bars, peering out into the dim light. He saw a man standing in the doorway, framed by the light, while others sat inside cleaning their weapons. A voice echoed, letting him know that everyone was already present. The man in the doorway was introduced by his killer code name, Bai Guang. Another man, with blonde hair, grinned and asked what had taken him so long. The man with black hair responded to the blonde man's greeting, countering that he wasn't that late and questioning if the blonde man was too relaxed because this would be his last mission. The blonde man wondered what kind of mission it was. He revealed that Buddha had requested that he work with the man with black hair. The two men stood side by side, each gripping lengths of heavy chain. The man with black hair stared intensely, his grip tightening on the chains. The man with black hair tightened the chains around the blonde man's neck. The blonde man fell to the ground, surrounded by onlookers. Blonde man demanded to know what he was doing. The man with black hair responded that he was simply doing his job, prompting the blonde man to question what he meant. The legendary killer Bai Guang was simply doing his job. The blonde man struggled against the chains, his face contorted in rage. Bai Guang effortlessly tossed the man through the air. He then delivered a brutal kick to another opponent. Bai Guang's fist connected with another man's face, sending him reeling. Bai Guang stood amidst the bodies of his defeated foes, looking down at them, and declared that they really thought that would be enough to take him down. Suddenly, a blonde man appeared, pointing a gun directly at Bai Guang. He cursed under his breath. The blonde man grimaced, revealing that he hadn't wanted to use a gun. He told Bai Guang that he was injured pretty badly and that these were Buddha's orders. He suggested that Bai Guang make things easier for him and die, since it was messy to clean up after using a gun. Bai Guang looked at the man, repeating the question of whether these were Buddha's orders. Bai Guang's face twisted in fury as he realized he'd been set up. He thought that this final mission was supposed to be his ticket to freedom, but it was all a lie. He wondered why. The blonde man's expression was cold as he told him that he could ask about it in hell. He raised the gun, and with a click, prepared to fire. Bai Guang screamed his own name as he lunged forward, trying to stop the inevitable. The shot rang out, followed by a cloud of smoke. At Waguksa headquarters, the day proceeded as usual. A bald man in orange robes stood before a golden Buddha statue, incense sticks burning in front of him. Suddenly, his phone chimed, and he glanced down at it. He held the phone to his ear. The voice on the other end asked if he had finished the job. He confirmed that it was all taken care of. After ending the call, the man tilted his head, a question mark floating above him. Kim Kyung-soo, eyes burning with rage, spoke into the phone, calling the person on the other end a piece of trash. The bald man on the other end of the line asked if it was Bai Guang. He admitted he was preparing funeral procedures and questioned how the assassin knew it was for him. He asked if Bai Guang was at the temple. The man stated that as a monk, a temple was where he should be. He asked Bai Guang if he could even make it there. Outside the temple, a large group of armed men stood ready. The bald man in the temple robes, still on the phone, heard Kim Kyung-soo's demand that he keep the doors open for him. Kim Kyung-soo, standing amongst his own group of armed men, informed the monk that he was already there. Kim Kyung-soo made it clear that if he wasn't invited in, he would invite himself. He told the man that he wanted to talk face to face. Kim Kyung-soo scoffed, suggesting that the man was not a real Mr. Buddha, but something far more sinister. He questioned if a true Buddha would kidnap children and train them to become assassins. He continued, asking if a real Buddha would make money off of them. Suddenly, the bald man raised a small axe, ready to strike. He swung the axe down with brutal force, aiming to end Kim Kyung-soo's life. Kim Kyung-soo roared, demanding that they get out of his way. He explained that he had lost everything to these people while being trained to become an assassin. His body, his childhood, his family had all been taken from him. The man with black hair glared at the woman in front of him, his eyes filled with rage. Kim Kyung-soo roared with fury, his eyes burning with rage. But now, he panted, the scene around him a testament to his brutal efficiency. Kim Kyung-soo realized that they had come to take the only thing he had left, his life. The bald man in orange robes looked down at Kim Kyung-soo, who was kneeling before him. He reminded him of a promise that had now been broken. Kim Kyung-soo reminded him that he had promised to let him live as a normal human being. Continued, his voice rising with desperation. He had promised to let him live however he wanted after his final mission. Kim Kyung-soo screamed, reminding the man that he had promised. The bald man acknowledged his promise. He claimed that he was giving him the opportunity to do just that, leaving Kim Kyung-soo confused. The bald man's words echoed in his mind. Whether it be in hell. A bloodied hand lay limp on the ground. He vowed that he would get his revenge. He heard someone shouting at him to open his eyes. He was surrounded by blurry figures. Kim Kyung-soo woke up surrounded by police officers. Kim Kyung-soo's eyes snapped open, and he looked around in confusion. He heard the officer shouting, asking what was wrong with him, and that the doctor said he might have short-term memory loss. The woman with orange hair demanded that he get it together, asking him who Kim Kyung-soo was. She shoved an ID and a mirror in his face, exclaiming that it was him. He was at the Ilsan police station. He was a policeman. He stared at the photo ID, hearing his name shouted. But then, another image flashed through his mind, the legendary assassin, Bai Guang. He stared at his reflection in disbelief. Just what the fuck, he muttered. He looked around at the police officers surrounding him, still trying to process the situation. Just like that, I'm a copper, he thought, utterly bewildered. Hey, real quick, my mom said this video would get 0 subscribers. If you enjoyed the story so far, click subscribe to watch the next part.